The Enterprise has come under attack from an unknown and dangerous enemy. Their weapons are stronger, their shields are better, and they've already assaulted the crew. The captain has a tricky choice: return to Earth for upgrades, or trust the crew to make them instead. But what if the captain wasn't who you thought? I'm Raptor.
And I'm Michael.
And this is One Trek Mind. Welcome back everyone, and today is the first in a video series we're starting where we're going to take the well-known Star Trek episodes, events or situations and spin them round, changing the captains, the crew or the ships to hypothesize what might have been different. Today we're starting with a small-scale situation from season 1 of Enterprise's episode Silent Enemy. This is the episode known for the introduction of a race that would become known as the ELACHI, thanks to Star Trek Online, and would provide the NX-01 with her phase cannon weaponry. But what if Captain Archer had not been the one in command? We're going to swap him out for Captains Kirk, Picard, Janeway and Sisko, and discuss how these captains would have handled the situation. Now, for some rules to make it clear, all we're changing here is the captain, so the ship, the crew and the events of the episode remain relatively the same. Where shall we start? I think we should start with Kirk and Picard, because I think, for me, those two are two different sides of the same sort of coin, as it were. I think both of them would take directly opposing actions. So how do you think Kirk would have handled this situation?
I actually don't necessarily agree that they would handle them differently. I think Kirk himself, being who he is, would absolutely be like, we can do this on our own. We've got this, Scotty, get on this shit, make sure it is...
Well, the crew isn't different. It's
I thought we were changing the crew as well.
No, we're just changing the captain here. It's just Kirk that's the difference.
Well, then he would tell Trip, like, get it together. Like, I need you to have this done well before you say you can get this done. However, I think... well, again, if we're only changing the captain, then I think they would be two different results. So yeah, I think he would have basically done the same thing as Archer. I would take it a step further and say he wouldn't even send them back to Jupiter Station at all. I think Kirk would be like, no, we're not retreating. We're not doing any of that. We're staying out here and we are going to handle this. Because when you talk about captains with like too much pride, I think Kirk is pretty much top of the list there. I think he would view going back to Jupiter Station as a failure in his eyes. He's like, we're out here to prove ourselves, and that just proves that we weren't ready. So I don't think he would even alter course to start going back to Jupiter Station. I think he would have just stayed out there. And as a result, I think there's actually a pretty high likelihood that Kirk would have gotten them all killed in that situation. I mean, to be fair, Trip and Reed do get the phase cannons handled themselves. They don't actually make it back to Jupiter Station. But you might be able to argue that by altering course and going back in that direction, it might have saved them like a little bit of time to actually do that. But you could also make the argument that it wasn't, because clearly the enemy ship had been following them the entire time. So who's to say on that one, really? But I think Kirk would definitely have taken the same approach as Archer, maybe with the one exception of when Archer does try to contact Vulcan High Command for some advice. I don't think Kirk would have even done that. I think he would have been like, nope, I'm not giving them the satisfaction of that situation. We got this.
I think kind of similar to you. Kirk is very boisterous, he's very forward, he's very aggressive. I think he would get on quite well with Trip, and I suspect that the phase cannons for Enterprise would have already been installed by this point. I think Kirk probably would have already given the order, because up to this point, the Enterprise has already been in battle several times. It's already encountered hostile species. I mean, the first episode, they encountered the Suluban. They've already encountered enemy ships they haven't been able to do anything about. And I think that Kirk would have already been trying to find a way to improve the ship's capabilities in that situation. So I think, based on him knowing how underpowered his ship is and his probably quite good relationship with Trip, I think the phase cannons would already be installed at this point. So I think the ship's already prepared, and he probably would respond to the initial attack quite aggressively by immediately returning fire. I don't think Kirk would be on the back foot in this situation. I think he's ready to go, the ship's armed, they get attacked, he's gonna respond. So I think for me, Captain Kirk as captain of the NX-01, this episode ends quite short. Like, they've saved themselves within moments of the initial attack occurring, for me.
I don't think Kirk is long-sighted enough to have done that, personally. And I'm not saying he's stupid. I know a lot of people get really frustrated when they hear the critique that Kirk is stupid, because I also don't think Kirk was stupid. I feel like time and time again, he's a very short-sighted kind of person. He's very much like, this is the problem right in front of me, and I will solve it right now without really thinking about like what comes after that. So I don't think he would have had the phase cannons ready to go, but a captain I do think would have had the phase cannons ready to go is Picard. I think 100% Picard would not have left space dock until the ship was done.
So you think he would have left the Klingon to die at the very start of the show?
I think he might have, genuinely.
Wow, that would have changed everything, because obviously then they don't encounter the Suluban, the Klingon Empire falls into a civil war. Like, that would have changed a huge amount.
I feel like Picard is a very meticulous, detail-oriented kind of captain. He thinks very far ahead through these situations. At the very least, maybe he goes to stop the Klingon Civil War and deliver him back to him, but then he's coming right back to space dock to finish building that ship, because he cares about his crew. And Picard, while having like a certain amount of pride, he is definitely not above admitting when he's wrong or unable to do something. And I really don't think he would have started this whole long journey without making sure the ship was actually good to go. So I think he would have gone into this episode already prepared, and it would have been a real quick solution.
Yeah, for me, I'm kind of similar to you, but at a different point in time. He's the diplomat, he's slower to aggression, he's very stiff, he's not very personable, at least to begin with. I see Picard having quite a strong friendship with T'Pol on the bridge, and I suspect that Picard would probably take the most logical and sensible route in this situation. Assuming that everything up to this episode goes the same way, and we are just treating this episode as a unique example, I think Picard would definitely be like, right, we can't do anything about this. We've spent a bit of time in space. We've already racked up some damage. We've already gotten a lot of information we can share with Starfleet. Let's go back home. Let's finish getting the ship built properly with its upgrade. Let's overhaul the systems we've got damaged. Let's restock up. Let's go to Starfleet and tell them everything we've discovered so far and what we've understood. And then we can come back out. So I definitely think, like, for this specific episode, I think Picard is going straight back home. Like, he is definitely going home. He's not going to consider installing the cannons themselves. He's just going to go home and let it all be done officially, as it were.
I feel like he might have, kind of like Archer, like, told them, like, get a head start on this just in case. But yeah, we're definitely going home, because we are not prepared for the threats out here. This is like
Yeah.
the 7th time in a row we are not prepared for what is out here.
Sisko and Janeway are the two that I struggled with in this situation. Let's start with Sisko. He can be aggressive, but as a leader, I feel he's more of a leader of a community in DS9 than a commanding officer, and so he seems to be quite personal. He will take the opinions and views of a very large part of the people around him and then react to that.
I think that's true. But in this case, it's a pretty even split amongst the crew. Or at least amongst the important
Bridge crew.
Because, you have Trip and Reed who are really gung-ho, like, we can do this ourselves, we don't need to go back. And then you have T'Pol and, I guess, Hoshi, who are kind of like, maybe we should go back.
Yeah. Sisko is interesting to me as he is the only of these 4 captains to have significant engineering experience. After Wolf 359, Sisko is placed at Utopia Planitia and has a significant part in designing the Defiant.
It's true.
Which is unique for the captains, and I wonder how that sort of, yes, you could say Sisko has that experience because of the situation he encounters in his timeline, but we can transplant that to this timeline and say maybe he's been working on the NX program in the first place. It's the idea that he has engineering experience, and he obviously has that sort of mindset for engineering and ship design, which I think is important. So I wonder how that would directly interact with this specific situation.
If anything, I kind of think Sisko ultimately take the same approach that Archer did.
I had that as well, so we agree on that one. I think he would do exactly the same.
Yeah, I think he'd be like, let's go back to Jupiter Station, but in the meantime, get it in gear, see if you can get it done. I'll help you with that, I'll give whatever expertise I can, since I helped design the ship or whatever.
I also had will probably help Reed and Trip.
Yeah, and as a result, they might have gotten those phase cannons working faster, which still probably would have ended the episode a little earlier than it did, which means we get the pineapple cake faster. It's disgusting, but...
It was a really weird secondary plot line to that episode.
It was a dumb one. It was one that just annoyed me. I'm like, are we really spending time on this shit? I don't care what Reed's favorite fucking food is. Oh my god. Anyways, I think Sisko would take pretty much the exact same route as Archer, all the way down to not really wanting to ask the Vulcans for help, but swallowing his pride and doing it anyways, even though it doesn't work, obviously. But still, I think he would have tried, just like Archer would. So yeah, I think, weirdly enough, as much as I don't think Archer and Sisko are the same, at all, I do think Sisko in this situation probably would do the exact same thing.
Which brings us to Janeway, who is the
a bit
one
of a
I
wild
have
card.
I have the most written down for Janeway, because I think she's perhaps the trickiest.
I was gonna say, she never handles any situation the same way. Every episode, she's like, we're gonna do it this way. And everyone's like, oh, we're not gonna, okay. And then the next episode, she's like, now we're gonna do it this way. You're like, wait, Janeway, I don't know how to
She can
predict what
swing
you're gonna do.
wildly from being quite boisterous and being very direct and being very, saber-rattly in her dealings with the Kazon especially. But then at the same time, she's obviously very collaborative. Her staff briefings for the ship, it's the entire bridge crew, plus usually the Doctor as well, plus usually Neelix as well, plus sometimes Kess as well. She has, I think, out of all the captains, perhaps apart from Sisko, the biggest, the most people at her briefings. So she's clearly quite collaborative. She's also a scientist.
I mean, Picard technically is a scientist as well.
Yeah. I mean, technically, archaeology is a science in theory, but Janeway is it's physical science. It's applied science. It's technology and physics and chemistry and all the rest of it. It's not theoretical stuff or digging up a body like you do in archaeology. So again, really wild card as a captain.
I feel like I'm going to have to take this step by step through the episode, because I'm not 100% how she would handle it. I think as soon as they approach, she'd probably do the same thing as Archer, you know,
Yep, probably
try and
attempt communication.
try to hail them, see what's going on. They don't really respond. You're like, okay, what's going on? And then they do start being aggressive, and he just hightails it out of there, which, again, I think Janeway probably would attempt to fight back in that situation, and then as soon as she realizes, okay, that is not gonna happen, I think she would have done the same and been like, all right, let's get out of here. But then when the idea of building these phase cannons comes up, I almost feel like Janeway, being who she is as a science officer and a complete wild card, she might have been like, forget the phase cannon. Let's build something else, something better.
Find a different scientific solution to the situation.
Yeah, I think, again, she might still take an aggressive approach to it, of like, let's make sure we have a weapon ready to deal with them, but I'm not convinced she would just be like, let's just go with the phase cannon. I think she would probably be like, let's alter the phase cannon from what it is and make sure that it's gonna work on these people. Like, we don't know anything about them, we can't even scan their ship, so whatever we make has to be like a crazy Hail Mary card. We gotta really buckle down here. And then, kind of like Sisko, would probably help them with doing that because of her own experience. And I think she absolutely would be like, Hoshi, we don't have time for you to figure out his favorite food. We have bigger issues to worry about. We'll do that later.
I had pretty similar. I think she would probably go along with Trip and Tucker's plans, but in addition, there would be attempting to find a scientific solution or scientific assistance to the situation. I don't think she would rely solely on the phase cannons to succeed if the ELACHI returned again. I think she would find, or try to be finding, other ways to gain an advantage. I don't think she would turn around, but I don't think she would proceed until the ship or the plans were ready. I think she's very much one of these, let's stay here, wait for everything to be prepared, and then let's carry on and see what happens. But I think once she knows the ship's ready to go, just judging on how stubborn she can be, I don't think she's going to back down once the ship's ready. She's going to be like, we are going. If they try to stop us, we'll use everything we have at our disposal, but we are not turning around and we are not being stopped by these bloody ELACHI.
I pretty much agree with that. I think she would be like, nope, we're not backing down. But as you said, like, we're probably not going to move forward either. Like, we need to, close ranks here and get our shit together, and as soon as we do, we're gonna fuck them up. I think that is definitely what her approach would be. I also think when they actually board the ship, she would have like tried to roundhouse kick one of them.
Oh, yeah.
Like Archer's whole like, stop, leave them alone. She'd just fucking bulldoze them. Like, probably get her ass kicked in the process, but knowing Janeway, she would definitely do that.
I think Kirk would have done that as well. Like, he's not afraid to like leap in hand to hand with anything.
That's true. Would have jumped on their back and just be bashing them in the head.
Yeah, you would have had that classic Kirk double neck chop thing going on, and
yeah, I think so.
Since I mentioned it for Kirk and Picard, who do you think on the bridge crew that Sisko and Janeway would be, like, have the strongest pairing with? I think Sisko would be quite friendly with Trip.
I agree. I guess he's not technically bridge crew, but yeah, no. I think it would be Trip, who he'd be like, I kind of like this guy. He's pretty cool. For Janeway, honestly, I think it'd be the same as Picard. I think she'd probably get along with T'Pol pretty well.
T'Pol.
Again, just the science background alone, and the fact that T'Pol would kind of keep her on the straight and narrow, I think she would really appreciate that. Although I do think Janeway would give some of the sassiest fucking comebacks if T'Pol tried to sass her. Janeway would be like, no, bitch. This is my ship. Don't even try that shit with me.
I mean, I could see Janeway having some quite sassy arguments with Trip as well. Like, I don't think she's going to put up with some of Trip's
I feel like she would just treat Trip as like a little boy. She'd be like, you're you're a child. When you're ready to speak like a grown-up, you may return. Like, I 100%
definitely
think she would treat him like a child. Kind of the same with Reed. I think she'd be like, you're also a child. You need to calm down. You're in timeout for a little bit.
Timeout corner on the bridge.
I feel like we actually do have enough time to explore some of the new Trek captains as well.
Did you want to add Burnham too?
Yeah, I say we do 2 extras. Let's do Burnham and Pike. Just how they would probably handle it. For Burnham, it really depends on which Burnham you're talking about, I guess. Because if you're talking...
I went with season 1 captain, since this is a season 1 Enterprise episode. So...
Well, she's not even a captain in season 1. If we're going season 1, 100% she would take on the entire problem herself and be very rude to everyone else around her and be like, you don't know what you're doing. I do. Get out of my way. I've got this. And she would the rest of the crew, if she had like the same sort of backstory, they'd be like, bitch, get out of here. Like, we don't even want you here. You're a traitor. But again, if we're going Captain Burnham, which is, I think, more
slightly
appropriate,
later on.
So like season 4 or 5, I think she would definitely ask the crew, like, what do you think we should do? But ultimately, as she does, she's like, it's my decision. So I don't know. She's also a little bit of a wild card in terms of like sometimes she takes an aggressive posture and sometimes she doesn't.
I think she would be quite similar to Janeway. I mean, she is also of the scientific background.
That's true.
I think she's also going to be one of these people that probably doesn't just rely on the weapons, but probably attempts to find an alternative solution, even if that's something as crazy as, I don't know, jumping out of the shuttle bay to fucking drop a torpedo on the thing's hull herself.
I think that's totally something she would do.
I think Burnham would likely take a very outside of the box, even more wild card thinking than Janeway situation. Whether or not that would get the ship more damaged than the ship does get damaged, I'm not sure. I don't. Sometimes Burnham's solutions work. Sometimes they make the situation worse. So yeah, I'm not sure on that one, but I definitely think Burnham would be quite the wild card.
Yeah, I think so too. For Pike, as much as I like Pike, I think he's a little bit of a pussy. I think 100% this situation would pop up and he'd be like, we're going home. We are going home. We are not dealing with this shit. Sure, go ahead and try and build it on the way. I'm not counting on that. We are going back home. Like, this is not happening.
I cannot believe you just called Captain Pike with that hair a bit of a pussy.
I mean, I think it's kind of true. Like, there's a lot of situations in Strange New Worlds where he takes a very, very, cautious or passive response to things. Sometimes to the point where I'm like, man, like, stand up for yourself. Like, you need to put these people in their place. They're kind of walking all over you. Again, not every time. He has definitely shown moments of gall, but I don't know. There's a lot of situations where his response is to run.
I think it's quite telling that in the start of season 3, when he had crew captured by the Gorn, the plan that he decides to go with is the plan of somebody else and not his own plan. He has no plan for that situation. He goes with number 1's strategy, which is to ram the ship through the Gorn's shields and drop a torpedo into it. So yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think Pike is probably the one who would turn around and, a bit like my thoughts on what Picard would do, just return straight to Earth and be like, we need the weapons to deal with threats like this.
Yeah, I think he definitely would do that. Probably cook them all up a nice meal along the way. This isn't me being shady towards Pike, by the way. I do like Pike,
he probably would.
But I'm like, I don't know. He has many times been perhaps a little too passive on things. I mean, that was the whole point of the season 1 finale, was that he was more passive than Kirk is, and that got them into a huge war. So I think he would have run, like, hands down, no questions asked, would have gotten out of Dodge and not looked back.
Yeah, I agree with you there. But what do you guys think? We've spoken about a lot of the captains here, so what do you guys think each captain would have done in this situation? What would you have done in this situation as captain? I'm curious to know what you guys would have done differently. And if you liked this sort of style of episode, let us know, and obviously we have future versions of this sort of setup planned, so give us your ideas.
Extreme scenarios than this one as well.
With some more extreme and long-winded scenarios. So let us know down in the comments what ones you would like us to see tackle next. Don't forget to like the video if you haven't already done so. And please consider subscribing if you're new to the channel for more content like this on One Trek Mind. But until next time, it's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.